guys! Today we're going to be swatching. I'm going to show you guys how I do my little swatch gauge and basically just go through the motions with you, just so you can see what I'm doing when I create the swatches for the yarn reviews. Now we're going to be swatching something. For some reason, I love Vanna's Choice from Lion Brand and I've never swatched it. That is so strange to me. I have no idea what on earth compelled me to never swatch Vanna's. So we're going to be swatching the color Aqua. It is worsted weight. They say medium size 4. It suggests a J hook. You get about 170 yards for every 3.5 ounces. There is, it's machine washable, machine dryable, and I can vouch for that. It makes some fabulous blankets. Whenever I try a new kind of yarn, I do a swatch like we're describing, and if I have already tried a type of yarn, then I am getting new colors, and I will just rub the new colors on popsicle sticks. So this is those. And I'll put the type. This is Red Heart Super Saver and Patty Green. And then I keep those together so that I can see all the colors together if I'm planning a project or whatnot. But in this case, we are going to be, excuse my light, swatching, and since it is worsted weight, I'm going to be using a J hook. As a hard rule, actually, there's no give on this one. If I'm on fingering or sock weight yarn, I'm going to be using a D hook. If I'm on DK or sport weight yarn, I'm using an F hook. If I'm on worsted weight or aran yarn, I'm going to be using a J hook, and if I'm up on some super bulky, I'm using a 9mm, and we'll usually use some different dimensions all together because that is a big swatch. So we are going to start with a slip knot. Pop your hook in there and chain for 24. Uh-oh. 6. And we're good. Now we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4 under just one leg. Double crochet across. Stick with me, Vanna. So far, not nearly as splitty as my last attempt. I think that was my doing more than the yarn. I was nervous. I think when we get nervous, we tend to crochet a little tighter. I don't tend to get that anymore, so it kind of surprised me, and I thought it was the yarn, but that made no sense. I love Vanna yarn. And how pretty is this aqua color? We're almost to the end. We will have 21 double crochets. Let's see how this yarn bowl behaves for me. Oh, you are not going to behave, are you? We're just going to drop that and throw this yarn on the ground. Okay. Here we are. We are finishing our row of double crochets. And at the end, I just chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn. We're going to skip the very first stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. Or we could loop. There we go. All the way across. We're coming to the end. Go ahead and double crochet on the 3rd chain of your original chain 3. Now you should have 21 double crochets. We'll assume I do. Not a big counter. So chain 3. 1, 2, 3. turn, skip that first loop, and double crochet in the next one and across. While I'm doing this, I'm asking myself the questions from my own yarn review. Is it squeaky? No, I don't get squeak from Vanna at all. That might just be me, and I'm on a super shiny hook. This is just a plain old boy hook, and I did the clay part myself. It's supposed to look like granny squares. We've come across, we're double crocheting in the top of that chain 3 again. 1, 2, there we go. So have a little gap because we're working on the top of that chain. That's to be expected. That's not the yarn's fault. And other questions. The color selection in Vanna is amazing, and I love the colors that Lion Brand usually uses. We are now chaining 2, turning. We're assuming that is the first half double crochet, so we're not half double crocheting in there. Next one, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull under all 3 loops on the hook. And we're going to do that across. We're going to do 3 rows of half double crochet. 21 of them if you include the chain 3 at the beginning of each row. So go ahead and do your 3 rows of half double crochet. Okay, we are coming up at the end of our row, inserting on the top of that second chain, the chain 2. That's our 21st half double crochet. Now we're going to chain 1 time, turn, and do double crochets across. Now here is our chain, so we're not working in that one, of course. We're doing it again. Single crochet in the second stitch and across. Just insert, pull up a loop, and at the top of that chain 2 from your half double crochet row, 1 single crochet. Chain 1, turn, skip that first single crochet and single crochet across. Including that chain 1, you're going to have 21 single crochets. You're going to repeat this row 1 more time, so you have 3 rows of single crochets, and I will meet you at the end of that. Be right back. And we're back. Here's 19, 20, and 21. Come here, mister. There you are. Okay, now we have completed our 3 rows of double crochet, 3 rows of half double crochet, and 3 rows of single crochet. And we can see the way that is behaving. Nice and even. Have a little gap because of our chain 3 and chain 2s, but that's to be expected. And we're going to move on to our granny stitch. Now this is 21 stitches across. That is going to give me an opportunity to do something I like to do with my granny stitch. One side is going to have 1 chain 3, and then at the opposite end will be 2 double crochets in the last stitch. I just like to know what that looks like when I'm planning something. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, right here in the third one, 3 double crochets. And you're set. You're going to skip 2 single crochets and then 3 double crochets in the next stitch. Vanna's Choice grannies so nicely. Definitely one of my favorite in the granny stitch. It just puffs up. It doesn't get dense. It just puffs up and takes up that space so beautifully. I don't know if you would call that blooming, not in the traditional sense, but there's going to be 6 clusters on each row. So it'll be 6 clusters of 3 double crochets. The first stitch of the row will be a chain 3, and the last stitch of the row will be 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets together right in the top of that chain of the previous row. So 1 double crochet, and in the same place 2 double crochets. I just like to see what that looks like. So single, 6 clusters, double. And we're going to do that again 2 more times. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn, and then work your 6 clusters of 3 double crochets. In this little gap right here, right after your last cluster, you're going to do 2 double crochets. 1, and then 2. Then you're going to chain 3 again and do your last granny stitch row. So right here you've done your single, and now you're going to that first gap and doing 3 double crochets, and you'll repeat that for a total of 6 clusters. And there's the end of your last one. You're going to do 2 clusters, a cluster of 2 double crochets in that last space. Woo, there we go. Awesome. Now we've finished that, and we're going to go on to a little V-stitch fun. So we chain 3, turn, and I'm going to do a V-stitch in between each cluster. That's a double crochet, a chain 1, and another double crochet. Then go to the next space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and in each space across. There is no space in between your V's though. So a V is a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, but in between those V's, there's no chain spaces at all. Here's the last one for the row. In the very last stitch, we're going to do 1 more V, just for good measure, because it likes to pull in. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 V's and a chain 3. We're going to chain up for 3, then turn this around, and we do a V-stitch in every V-stitch. I have a little bit of bulk on one side, but that never really bothers me because I'm more analyzing this. Chain 1 and double crochet. We're doing that inside of each, not in between, but inside of each V-stitch. 1 double crochet on the top of that chain 3. Come here. If it's too tight, I'll just go under 1 leg. Usually I try and get under 2 legs. Sometimes it gets a little taut. Now we chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we again V-stitch inside of each V-stitch. And 1 double crochet at top of the chain 3 of the previous row again. And we're all set on 3 rows of V-stitch, which I think looks nice, but I like the granny stitch more. I think Vanna is one of my favorite yarns to see in a granny stitch. It works okay on everything else, but it's not super drapey, so I wouldn't really want to wear it on too much clothing. I do like it in a poncho because you don't need a lot of drape in a poncho, but if you were going to wear it, I would definitely go up a hook or 2 sized. And now we're going to do some scallop. So let's chain 3. We're going to do a tight scallop first. So right in that next stitch, right by your chain, we're going to do 2 more double crochets. So you chain 3, 2 double crochets all together. And then you're going to slip stitch into the middle of your V-stitch. Then you're going to do 5 double crochets This is a nice wide scallop. And then slip stitch into the middle of the next V-stitch. And again. And then we're going to slip stitch into the area, we'll go into that V-stitch. And then we're going to chain 3, double crochet 2 times in the same stitch, slip stitch in between the V-stitches, and now we're making a nice tight scallop. And in the V-stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets, and then in between the V-stitches we're going to slip stitch. That makes the scallop take up a shorter span, so it becomes a bit tighter of a scallop. And we're going to do it again, which is going to make it a little lopsided, but I'm curious. I've never done a tight scallop edge on Vanna's Choice, so I'm curious, so I'm going to give it a little space. And that's what that's going to look like. So just some different scallop styles in the Vanna's Choice, just so you can kind of get a feel for how it's going to sit with that. Now we're going to fasten off. So we pulled up that chain. So here's the top of your last slip stitch. Then you pull up a few inches, grab your scissors, try and cut left-handed. There we go. Pull that loop all the way out and fasten off. And we are done. Now we can ask ourselves the questions. First off, the color selection is fabulous for Vanna's Choice from Lion Brand. Love the colors. Every season, every color, even their mustardy yellow is kind of appealing. And their packaging and presentation, pretty standard. The ball kind of fights with me, gets under the chair. It's the same as most of the craft store balls of yarn though, so it is what it is. And nothing special, but nothing too harsh. Is it splitty? I'd say slightly splitty, considering I'm using the hook that they suggest and not a smaller one. I'd say it's split about average, nothing terrible, but it was definitely splitting. Is it drapey? No, I wouldn't give drapey to the Vanna's Choice. It's not. It's a great blanket yarn. It really holds its own. I call it body. It's fabulous. It does soften up with washing, but really, if you're looking for something with drape, I would go somewhere else because Vanna has so much going for it in other situations, and that body works for it so much. Just go get something drapey if you're looking for drapey. This just isn't it, but it's fabulous. And is it soft? Yes. I really love the feel. It's not alpaca soft. It's not butter against your skin. It's a soft, cuddly blanket, something that you would just love to have on the couch. Very nice. And it has just a little bit of a halo to it. It's super smooth. I enjoy it very, very much. And is it shiny? It is not matte by any means. It's not super shiny, but it does have a shiny bit of a halo to it, which I actually like. So it's got a little shine to it. I'd say it's about a 5 out of 10 on the shiny scale. Is it squeaky? No, I don't get squeak out of Vanna's yarn. Maybe other people might disagree because I'm not particularly sensitive to squeak, but I don't get squeak out of Vanna's. I just never have. I think it's a really comfortable yarn to crochet with or knit with on any kind of needle or hook. Is it true to size? I'd say yes. This is about what you would expect from a worsted weight yarn. And I'd say an aran weight also. We'll have others to compare it with, and I'll keep it here for reference. But as far as I can tell, yes, it's definitely not small. This is our Caron Simply Soft. I got a little crazy over here. This has 2 extra stitches on the side. Got a little crazy, but if you're holding reference, you might notice the Caron Simply Soft is smaller, and everybody knows that this is a slightly lighter weight of worsted weight yarn. So I'd say it's just about perfect. Is it stretchy? No, and I love that it's not stretchy. I do not want to have a blanket stretch out so much that it has big gaping holes. I like to have my grannies open just that much. That's why I don't do a chain in between them. I like them closed even on my grannies, and isn't that pretty? It's perfect, and it holds that. It doesn't stretch this way, it doesn't stretch this way. It's amazing. I like that. And finally, is it awesome? Yes, definitely. I love Vanna's Choice, and it would, if it went away, it would be one of the few yarns that I'd be lost if it wasn't around. So I'm very glad that you guys got to sit with me for this. I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you with my next yarn review. The next one won't have me making the swatch. This is going to be my only swatch one. I figured I would just throw Vanna's Choice in here with it because why not? Who doesn't love some Vanna's Choice? You guys take very good care. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or any yarns you'd like me to look into, please put those below. You can see all of my social media links are also below. I'd love to meet you over on Instagram or Snapchat. We have a Ravelry group, Melody Crochet Podcast Ravelry group. I also have a Facebook, Melody Crochet on Facebook, and the links to all these things are below. Thanks for stopping by. You have a great day. Bye-bye.